What's up, guys? It's me, Tim, Gutter Growth Podcast. Today I got Chris Sprouse with me. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Just out here trying to, do some estimates in between the rain.
Good deal, man. Good deal. So yeah, how long you been in the gutter industry, brother?
So about a year and a half now.
Year and a half now.
Yeah.
And you actually purchased a business.
Yeah. Yeah. I purchased my business last year in May. May 1st, I officially took over. And it's been a lot of ups and downs ever since. So,
Is that the first business you bought?
yeah, it's the first business I bought. So I was in a, pretty, production W-2 job, worked midnight shift for, about 5 years. And I was tired of working midnights, man, to be honest with you, and started investing in real estate and found a couple of mentors in the real estate side. And I kind of told them, I said, what's one of the fastest ways, out of my W-2 job? And one of them told me to look at buying a business.
Yeah.
And so I looked at about 5 different businesses, and I ended up choosing the gutter business.
So what was it about gutters? Like, what did you know about gutters? Was it just
I
you started looking at businesses and this is interesting, or like how did you actually fall into actual gutters?
So honestly, man, of the ones that I looked at, the guy I had the cleanest books of all the businesses that I looked at. He had the best shop tour of all the businesses that I went and looked at, and honestly, me and him just kind of connected and got off on a good foot. And I think that's kind of what made me choose this.
Okay. And so, yeah, man. So you're like, man, I'm just gonna. Did you know anything about gutters at that point? Did you
Dude,
have
I
any?
didn't know. I didn't know anything, man. I knew I had put gutters on my house a little bit before that because I had got like a concrete slab that was the water was just beating down and rotting out my sliding glass door.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
So
I mean,
that was my first experience with gutters ever.
when I started my first gutter job, I didn't know what a gutter was yet. Like I knew I was doing gutters, and I showed up, and then like we're printing out the machine and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I honestly
Yeah,
didn't know what they were.
yeah, dude. I didn't know anything, man. So pretty much when I took over the business, first week I was with the previous owner, kind of learning some back end work and whatnot, kind of getting a few things swapped over and stuff. Then the following week I kind of went and spent a whole week on the truck, and then we were actually doing a big commercial job in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at the time. And I went down to Baton Rouge, which I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and so it's about a 9-hour drive from us. Went down there, was doing a 3-story apartment complex, and I started hanging gutter, man. All the guys that we had started teaching me how to do it.
Nice, man. So, what was that process like? Like, what does someone do if they're thinking about buying a business or a gutter business? Like, what's the first
Yeah.
step that they take?
The first step, man, is just finding a business that has clean books. So getting a good CPA or somebody that knows how to read books, look at their
Hmm.
P&L, see how much money they're really making, how much money they're not making. And most businesses are all bought off of EBITDA. The actual what kind of like the cash flow of the business, pretty much.
Yeah.
So usually if you're under $1 million business, it's usually about 2.5 or the 3 times what the cash flow is. But once you start getting over that $1 million EBITDA mark, it starts jumping up, to around, sometimes 6, 7 times EBITDA.
Okay.
So, it's something I still keep a close eye on because it's once I grow my business more, I want to look at buying more businesses.
Would you stick with the gutter industry and just maybe pick up more gutter companies?
Yeah, I probably would. I think, I've already looked at a couple of other people that have reached out to me that know I bought mine
Yeah.
in other areas are like, hey, man, would you be interested in buying mine? And um, right now, I'm just not in a spot where I can do it, but definitely in a few years, that's definitely going to be something I look at doing.
What what type of challenges came with buying a business that you didn't know much about? Like, I don't know how long was the transition period before you had no more help from the owner, or there
Yeah,
was
so
anything.
the transition period for us were 6 weeks.
So it's
So
rather short.
yeah, it was kind of short, but the salesman that I had was actually the previous owner's brother-in-law.
Okay.
Um, so he actually stayed on with me for 6 months. And so he was able to help me out a lot because he already knew about selling gutters and everything else. And once he left, I kind of took everything into my own hands. I started doing all my own sales. I still had one crew. When I bought the business, we had two crews running. And then when had two crews all the way up until about November, and we had to go down to one crew because November, December, January were pretty slow. And
Okay.
honestly, I've stayed at one crew this whole year, and they've been
Yep.
doing some rock star numbers, man.
Okay.
So
Did we meet at one of those lives, or we met before that?
no, we met last year at the Gutter Summit.
The Gutter Summit. That's right.
Yep.
And then we got
Yep,
to
the
hang
first-
out at that live
in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
What was your thoughts of Gutter Summit the first time going? You were fresh in the business when you went then, huh?
yeah, man. I was barely 6 months in on the first Gutter Summit last year, and dude, it was a lot of knowledge. There's a lot to take in too. It's a lot of information all at one time, but it definitely changed. It definitely changed my business, man.
Sweet, man.
I ended up. So I think it was in October of last year, and then in January I ended up joining the Gutter Growth Mastermind with y'all, and it's been nothing but up ever since then. So
yeah, man. You want to talk a little bit about that? What that looked like?
yeah, dude. So I mean, the previous owner, he worked mainly off of contractors. That was where 80% of his work was, and he did about 20% residential. He didn't run Google ads. He barely, asked for reviews or anything because it was all contractors. And so when I came in, I took over a few jobs that he was doing, but I canceled a couple of them. We had a couple of other large apartment complexes out of state, and once I dealt with that Baton Rouge one, I was like, I don't want to do any more out of state apartment complexes. It was just it was too much, man. It was finding staff for it was really hard.
Right.
I missed a lot of my kids' stuff, doing that. So that once I did all that really changed my business, and that's when I joined Gutter Grove because I was making that transition from 80% contractor to more 80% residential, and it's been great, man. Entered a lot of SOPs and took your advice, took Grant's advice, took Tom Anthony's advice. Learned from Chris Daborski on some sales stuff, and just recently hired my first sales guy back, and so now we're just trying to grow and grow.
You're killing it in the sales game right now.
Yeah, man.
I had day, huh?
Yeah, dude. I had three record months. 76,000, 87,000, and then another 79,000. And then
where were you when you first got into the program?
So that January that I joined, we did 18,000 in January.
Yeah, man, you're slaying it.
And then
So
in December.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say in December, I think I did like 25,000.
25. Yeah. So you about tripled up.
Yeah.
When you took over that business, did you end up losing some of the contractors?
Yeah, man. I lost a lot because the biggest thing was I lost my material pricing that the previous owner was getting. He had been in business for 30 years, and he had some really good contacts.
They just dropped that pricing right away as soon as you sold?
dude, 100%. Because I had to start a new LLC, they treated me like a brand new business,
Yeah.
and my so immediately I come in, my material price almost doubles immediately, and it's like, oh crap, I can't keep running for $6-7 a foot anymore. And so I had to raise prices, and a lot of the contractors didn't like that. And I started taking deposits. A lot of contractors didn't like me taking a deposit, so they went and found somebody else that wouldn't go take a deposit. So
Yeah.
I lost a good bit of contractors off the rip within like the first 6 months.
Is that going to change your strategy on your next purchase?
100%, one hundred
Like,
percent. My next purchase now will be totally different, man. I've learned so much about buying a business. I'm gonna make sure that the owner involvement is gonna be very little when I buy another business. Um, you know, at least that he's not doing everything.
yeah.
When I bought this business, we didn't have he didn't have an office admin. He was the office admin. He took all the phone calls. The only thing he didn't do was the sales.
Hmm.
So he did pretty much everything. All the back end payroll,
So it's kind of
invoicing.
like buying a job that you had to turn into a business rather quickly.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I try to stay away from too like really heavy reliance on contractors and stuff. Not
Yeah,
only just from a sales aspect, like that's pretty interesting. If they were 80 and you end up losing some people, so that kind of sucks. But um, also just from the perspective of like I was around during the Great Recession time, and I seen so many gutter companies go out of business, and
yeah,
it was all the gutter companies that were heavily reliant on contractors or roofers.
yeah,
Um, a lot of the roofers weren't getting paid from the builders or the GCs, and then they weren't paying the gutter guys, and then just everyone had like a all of a sudden like just a halt on the income, and it was
yeah.
from that reliance. So I always feel like if you have a real brand or a real company, you're gonna have retail recognition and brand recognition, and it
Yep.
not just be hidden in the background from the contractors.
Yeah, I think the previous owner before the recession, I want to say he told me he was running 4 crews, and then the recession hit him down to where he was completely off the truck, and the recession hit him so hard that he fired everybody and went down to him and one other guy, and that was it. And that's how he made it through the recession.
Did you end up keeping the installers, or what did that look like?
So I kept several of them for several months, but
Yep, lost them for a second.
all right, sorry about that. I don't know
That's
what
all right.
happened there,
Hit a
but
button or something.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you good.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? You able to hear me?
Yo,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes.
What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
I hear you.
I don't know. I can't hear nothing, man.
Take it off Bluetooth.
All right.
You hear me?
Yep, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that. I had some technical issues there.
I'll cut that. I'll have Ange cut that out, so don't worry about
Okay.
it. Just
All right.
continue.
But
Cool.
yeah, what was the question you asked me?
Um. Hmm. Oh, we were just talking about like you keeping installers and stuff,
Oh
and
yeah,
how
yeah,
that.
yes. Yep. So yeah, man, I kept the same installers up until November. Then I had to let two of them go. That's when we slowed down real bad. And then I kept the same two through the winter time. And then we ended up, parting ways. It just wasn't working out no more. So I got a whole new crew now. That was, not with the previous owner.
Good deal, man. And so, what? How did that look like? Is it did you hire experienced guys? Did you have to do some
Yep.
training?
Yeah. So I did. I did hire experienced guys.
Okay.
One of them actually reached out to me and was asking me if I was hiring, and I told him at the time I didn't, I wasn't. I kept his phone number. Contacted him whenever I was looking at hiring another crew, and went and met with him. Me and him got along really good. Then I kind of brought him in, and he actually brought another guy that he knew over.
Good deal. I was always a fan personally of bringing on experienced guys.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if it's just because I was running the business and I didn't have as much time to train. Like Grant's had a lot of really huge success training people, but
yeah.
I never quite had the patience for it. Some training, but not.
It. I agree with, like, if I was a bigger business, and I already had two or three trucks running, then I think it would be great to hire somebody with no experience. But when you're just
Mhm.
a one crew guy, you just don't quite have the time to really train them up the way they need to be trained. So it's better to get somebody that's already trained in.
But I've still had plenty of helpers come in. Most of the helpers I've hired has been, um, like the guys brought them in.
Yeah.
They referred someone, hey, this guy needs a job, and they
Yep.
typically would fit the company culture. So I always like bringing in skilled guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been great for me. And then they've wanted to bring their friends on that they know, other guys, and I've wanted to bring them on, but we just I just honestly haven't had that gotten to that point where I want to put that other truck out there yet.
So where are you with that now? Is that kind of in the pipeline for the next year, or
I'm definitely gonna add a new truck next year. I got a lot of things in work. As you know, I got the home with the Home Depot stuff. So we
yeah,
got that in the works. So I'm gonna be the main guy in the Northeast Florida area for the Home Depot guy stuff.
that's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, dude. So that's gonna be really cool. And so I'm gonna, that'll definitely, once they really turn that on, that'll add my other truck right there. And then I got some pretty big commercial jobs that I actually bid back on that's here in town. Um, that I think that I got. I'm not gonna say that I do have it, but I was told that they were leaning toward me. So hopefully that'll all take off in the first quarter of next year. So that'll be able for me to add that other truck there.
That'll be sweet. Yeah,
Yep.
there's nothing like a good project to start it off, and then what I like about that type of thing is you could start, doing heavier advertising and keep the momentum going.
Yep.
It's
One
great
hundred
when you
percent.
got something like that to start the momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Sweet.
been dude, it's been a game changer, with my advertising with Mr. Pipeline. I started with them in January whenever I joined Gutter Growth, and dude, it's been. I mean, I went from January I did 18,000, February we did 55,000.
Yeah,
Immediately, man. Like it changed everything, dude.
you're running ads now, aren't you?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually just bumped my budget up too.
Did you? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we
That's
went
what I like
from.
about it because once you get some clarity to it, like I had my budget at 20 grand a month at one point,
Yeah.
but I was running multiple trucks. But like once you have the clarity behind, like what's that lead costing you? What's my closing ratio? What's the job cost me? What's my
Yep.
average ticket price? Like if you know those four things, you're not really afraid to throw that AdWords budget up because it
Yeah.
just means you're going to get more jobs as long as the
Once
areas
I
get search volume.
It's funny because, like, I had my ad budget at like 5,000, and I was sitting around a 55% close ratio, and then now I bumped it up to 66, and it's actually because I'm getting so much more leads in, it's actually dropped my close ratio down to like 33, 35%. but I'm still doing like right now, still doing about the same numbers per month.
Yeah.
But once I get this kind of more dialed in, get this close ratio back up, then it'll be good.
Good deal, man. You've been selling some good jobs here recently. I've seen you post a
Yeah,
couple things, or I think you
yeah,
sold one
man.
the other day.
Like I told you, I sold that $24,000 job. We're starting next week. I got another $36,000 job that I sold, and then I'm working on a real big one. It's about $90,000 for a retirement community, all new leak
Nice.
protection, clean out, and everything like that. Some repairs. So that's all going to end the year good. And then, like I said, I got that one. It's a big condo association that they're wanting all new gutters in, and that's going to start out in Q1. So probably late January, early February when they said they'll be ready.
What do people have to do to buy a business? You got to get qualified somehow, like SBA loan or.
Yep. So I did the SBA loan, 10% down. I do have a back end partner that's he don't really have much to do with the business, but he was kind of more of a financial backer for the business. And but you gotta get qualified, man. You gotta have you ain't gotta have great credit. I think the credit rating was like a 620 or more.
Really?
Yeah, it ain't it. I think SBA just changed that to like a 650 now. Um, I
Which
haven't
that's not
kept up.
really high, so that's just like an average.
Yeah, just like an average credit score. I actually took a HELOC out on my home to help me with my down payment too. So they allow stuff like that. If you got some equity in your house, if you want to buy a business, so that always helps out.
So they're more looking for like that skin in the game. They just want you to
Yeah.
put 10% skin in the game. It's easy to
Yep.
get a loan
That
done.
and then they're not going to approve you for no $5 million business if you don't have experience running a business. Because they also look at your resume, look at your experience and your management skills, and different things like that.
Okay.
Luckily, I've had some little bit of management experience in my previous roles, so that helped out a lot.
So they're going to ask you all those type of questions
Yep,
on the
yep,
application.
yep.
Oh. I mean, I've been on the seller side of it. I just never been on the buyer side of it. But I'm starting to realize it's a pretty good strategy. And
Yeah,
a
it
guy
really
like you
is.
got a good gutter company, and you know how to buy a gutter company, and especially if you do it like maybe the county over and the county over and the county over, and you start
Yep,
building this like little empire that's like right around your area. Or maybe
yeah,
you buy out a couple local competitors in the same exact market that you're in.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I've actually had conversation with a couple of them that are actually getting close to retirement, and talked about me, buying a small part of theirs out because
yeah.
they're not very big, and now I know a lot more now than what I did when I first purchased the business. So honestly, I overpaid for my business for what it is. But sometimes you gotta pay to learn, and that's kind of what I've
Right.
done.
Right. Like I feel like if I sell another business, I'm going to do a much better job at selling it. Like I probably could have got more money. There's a lot of probablys, and
Yep.
the only way you're going to learn anything is by doing it, not being afraid to take a little bit of risk.
One
Now you
hundred
got a
percent.
business, you've learned a ton, and you're still going to grow it, even if you overpaid a little bit.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, I make my SBA payment every month. It sucks whenever I see that come out of my account every month. It's like, golly, I could hire another person for what I pay for my SBA loan. So
Is it like a 10-year thing?
yeah, it's a 10-year loan. Yeah.
10 year. Is that pretty much common? Pretty much for most of the SBA
It
loans.
it's common, I think, now if you buy a business with property involved, if the property is appraised higher than the business, they'll finance it for 25 years.
If you have a property involved.
If you have property involved.
And that okay, because then they were kind of doing it like a property loan per
Yep,
se.
pretty
Um,
much.
okay, and then if that's the case, is it typically cheaper payments? And if it was a 10-year,
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
yeah.
be much cheaper. I've actually met and talked to some guys that bought property along with their businesses, and it could, because they stretch it out for that 25-year span. Man, it helps their cash flow issues so much more.
And I wonder if that must make it an easier business to purchase then. So if someone's
Yes.
building a business, it might be a smart idea to own your property too that you're building the business.
100%. And it has to be commercial property. It can't be residential.
Because I didn't own the property. I was leasing a building, but I could imagine if I owned it, then someone, instead of having to get a 10-year more expensive loan, they could have came in, had a little bit more assets too, because now you got more tangible assets.
Yep.
And a cheaper payment that's stretched out, over time.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely something I'm probably going to look into because I do dabble in the real estate a little bit. So I'll definitely be looking at buying me a commercial property within the next few years.
Yeah. How did you get into real estate? That was just something you fell into and started.
It's something I've always liked, man. I just always enjoyed real estate, and started going to a lot of local meetups and met a bunch of people, and bought a rental house, and then I bought a fix and flip that we did, and I JV'd on that one, so I had a partner on that, and honestly, that one didn't turn out very good. We didn't really make the money we thought we was gonna make because the market dropped while we were in the middle of fixing it, pretty much. So that one didn't turn out good, but the rental property was great. I love it.
And you plan on keeping that forever? Is that the type
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get rid of it, be honest with you, and just kind of focus more on the business, buying other businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really gotten too much into real estate. I've wanted to. We got that one guy in our mastermind group. That guy's got like 250 rental properties or tenants. I'm not sure.
Yep.
I think it's tenants, but that's a lot,
Yeah, and another guy has a bunch of Brandon Bradley has a bunch of Airbnbs.
Yeah, he's got like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, so and he does pretty well on those.
Some of the real estate tip.
Yeah,
I just always like building businesses. I think that I don't know. Me personally, I'd probably rather have a bunch of businesses, but
I think now knowing what I know now, I'd much rather have more businesses and then hire operation managers for all of them than I would real estate.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'm on the right path then.
Yeah. So but commercial buildings, that would be something I would still look into, especially if you own your own commercial building that you are running your business out of. Because then, like I said, that'll make your business a lot more valuable too.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to buy a building for Mother's Gutters then.
Yeah, dude. Buy you a building. It's got a nice shop and a good bit of like parking spots and whatnot for all the truck for it. That'll be really cool.
That's the main thing about getting a property, and even a lot of these places around here, it's just hard to get the parking. Like you'll get the building, but they'll have like 3 parking spots, and like you need 8 or 10 of them for your trucks. Yep.
That's what I deal with. I deal with that right now. I mean, I got a good spot. The shop wise is big. I get 3 parking spots, and so it's like it's a struggle sometimes in the mornings. Cause we kind of bounce in and out of 2 different trucks. I have a transit van and I have a box truck, and so depending on what the job is, we might run the box truck, or we might run the transit van if it's just a regular, no tear down or something like that. And so we keep both of those parked up front. So at least 1 parking spot. Luckily, the neighbor next to me is a church. And so during the week, they're not really there. So we're able to kind of park in their parking lot.
You're cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always tough at my shop that I had. So I think I had like 9 vehicles, but then all the employees need to park. And so a lot of it sometimes was having to pull out a truck and then park something right there.
Yep. We do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
So what's a piece of advice that you have for these gutter guys? What's just like something that sticks out? Maybe about buying businesses, or maybe just about business in general or life.
Mentors.
Can't
do anything without mentors, man.
Yeah.
They will change your life 100%.
Okay. It seems like you've had that pattern. Like you had some mentors in the real estate game that kind of helped you there, and it's just.
Yeah, man. I messed up when I was younger. I had a family member that was wanting to be a mentor of mine, and I was just young and dumb. Didn't go through with it, and once I really realized what I did, I was like, holy crap! Like you're not gonna make it nowhere without mentors.
You just didn't want to hear it at the time.
Yeah, I just didn't want to hear it. I wanted to be young and dumb and, I didn't want to listen to nobody. I wanted to do my own thing. And then now I'm like, no, man, I need to follow. You got to follow. You make your own way, but you still want to follow what somebody else has already done if they've been successful.
Yeah, no doubt, man. In order to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower, and that's
Yep.
one thing that like people don't understand. Like, you don't just become a leader by just, it's not, you're not a natural born leader. There's no such thing. Like, you're not being born and like this kid's a leader. Like, no, it's something that you're learning, but you're learning through following other people, but the right people. And so it's
Yep.
just about picking people that's in the positions that you want to be in, and they're there for a
100%.
reason, right? And so it's just picking up those little things that they're doing, and so I completely agree on that.
You talk to any successful business owner, real estate person, they all said they did it because of mentors.
Mentors. So I guess you would say, join Gutter Growth.
Join Gutter Growth, 100%. I jumped up in front of everybody at the Gunner Summit, and I said, if y'all are on the fence about it, like, I'm a living proof of what it will do for your business.
Yeah, man. But you're executing, and so some people come in and they, not so much anymore. I mean, we haven't really had a lot of people fall off recently. We got a pretty good crew in there, but we've had people that come in and just don't execute, and everyone that does execute, they're all winning. So I mean, really, it's just like you got to do shit. You got to know what to do and then do it.
Because nobody's going to do it for you. So you got to do it yourself. That's why I said you got to follow what has been done for you. Like that they've already done, been successful, and that's the whole thing about it. If you come in and you don't do anything, you're going to have the same results that you had before you came in. You're just going to be spending that money and wasting it. Really, you got to come in, implement. Come to the calls, join in. Take notes and actually implement it. And there's been things that I even still struggle with on implementing. I just finally did my core values the other week, and that was I've known I need to do that since last year's Gutter Summit, and I just haven't. I haven't. It was just one of those things that I put off. Um, but I implemented a lot of other things, like the SOPs, the employee handbooks, and just the way like I handle my business in general. Like I've implemented all that, and it just obviously it's changed.
And if you ever want to sell your business one day, which it sounds like you're just going to be acquiring more, but if you did, because you have all those things in the business, it's going to make it worth more.
Yep,
And
100%. I want to get it. I want to get it to where I'm working 5 to 10 hours a week in my business, man. That's my goal. I don't want to be completely like, oh, I'm gonna go sit on a beach somewhere or something like that. I may get it where I'm only 5 to 10 hours in this business, but I may be in another business 40 hours. Trying to grow that one to get that one to that point where I'm only spending 5 hours or 10 hours in that business.
That's where I was at when I sold. I would go in every morning. I was there because I wanted to see the guys, show face, talk to everyone, get them out the door. But I had my office manager over here answering. I had my 2 sales guys out there slaying it, and I had my crews going out. And so I just like to be there. And I was pretty much done by like 9:00, 9:30 every day. Besides maybe answering the phone, or you still got things to attend to. But if you could have a more off-hands business, it's definitely more appealing to buy, but it's also a lot easier to run. And
100%.
What a lot of people don't understand is it's easier to run a bigger business than it is a small business.
Yeah.
Because you got the systems in place, and now you're just relying on systems versus relying.
And you're not doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing is like I've known this whole year that I'm the bottleneck of sales of my business. I didn't have any sales background whatsoever. I've been in production since I graduated high school, pretty much. And so
you've been reading a lot on sales recently, though, haven't you?
yeah, man. I've been reading a lot. That helped me out a lot. That's what's kind of got me through this year is the books that you recommended to me, and that it's helped out. I mean, tremendously. But I still know that even with the books, that's still my bottleneck to my business is my sales.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've reached out and I've hired a sales guy for me, and he's already killing it, man. Already doing a much better job than what I'm doing.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We're entrepreneurs. We're not, we get here by selling for sure. We got to sell ourselves. We got to sell our vision. But at the end of the day, man, there's people that can do better jobs than we can, and you need to find those people, hire them. Like that's surrounding yourself with someone that's better than you. That's good. Like my sales guys were better than me. They were better at follow up than I was. So it's important to be able to get those people in place and kind of
Yeah.
relinquish that control.
That's been one of my biggest things. I mean, I use Jobber, but follow up, because I'm so busy doing everything else, my follow up was horrible.
Yeah,
And I probably could have had a much better close ratio if I could have really, did my follow up with a lot of, previous customers that I lost,
yeah. And you're able to make sales guys do that. They don't have
Yeah.
everything else to do. They don't have to order material, deal with the guys, deal with problems. Like literally all they're doing is selling. And they're making their money that way. So they're going to do their
Yep.
follow up. They're going to work harder to close the job than we will. I've
100%.
always, every time I brought on a sales guy, especially if I didn't have a sales guy previously, I would always raise my price. So that way, like I'm not losing margin by bringing him on. He's going to work harder to close that job anyway, so I probably won't lose any close ratio.
Yeah, 100%.
So, because a lot of people they'll bring on a sales guy, but they'll forget to raise the price, and all of a sudden they're just 10%, less profitable in the margins.
Yep.
They don't think about it,
I know. And what gets me is like, I mean, we see it all over the gutter pages, man. Everybody's in a race to the bottom. I just don't understand it with the price of materials right now. When you're, like my total all in cost for, per foot is about almost $3 per foot. And I don't understand how these guys are out, selling for $5 a foot. I just
You
don't,
know what a lot of it is, man, is that they're paying their guys 1099. They're just writing them a check. They're not
Yep.
covered under work comp. They're not completely legal. So it's just a lot of these things, man. They're getting their beer money.
Yeah, that's all. That's all they're working for. It, and they technically don't have a boss, and so they're like, "Yeah, I own my own business," and they go out and do everything themselves. And that's not how you build a business, man. That's like I try to inform my customers like, I do have all W-2 employees. I don't have any 1099 guys. I don't subcontract any work out. If it's something we ain't never done before, we just kind of figure it out as we go. I'll be honest with the customer, like, hey, I haven't never done that before. My guys haven't ever done it before. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a really good price for the first time that we do it. And then, you'll be kind of a background for our next project. We'll document it, post it on social media, and hey, look, we're now, offering this. Like we just did our first fascia wrap job Monday. Well, actually Tuesday, 'cause we got rained out on Monday, but that was our first fascia job. So now I'm gonna start trying to throw in some fascia in there and maybe some soffit.
I mean, if you care about your employees, you're going to charge right. You're going to charge proper because you're going to care about your employees. I'm not going to have my employees be in poverty just to save the customer money. Like the employees are who's building this business. Let's charge the proper price and pay everybody right. And
I mean, my goal is 25 grand a week for my one crew, and that gives them, I pay 20% of the truck. They split it 10-10. That gives them the $2,500 gross for that week, man. Like that's good money. That's really good money,
when you bought this
taxes.
business, when you bought that business, was he on percentage pay like that, or he was?
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. So you kind of already had that implemented.
Yep. So he had already had it implemented. He actually just had changed it. Um, he actually told me he changed it. So he used to pay by the foot, and then he changed it to where now he paid percentage.
It makes more sense because not everything's a footage job. Like,
Yep.
You might have a repair where you're repitching something and cleaning it out and putting on some guard over here. And it's just like, how do you pay for that if it's not a footage thing? So I never really dug the whole footage deal. I worked for companies in the past that, going back like 20 something years, but I worked for companies that, they itemized everything. So they're paying this much per splash guard and this much per corner and this much per foot. And it just seems really complicated to have to figure all that out by the end of the week just to pay someone.
It's so much easier now. Like I just go through and, look at my jobs and, I take it, gross the total price of it times 0.10 and, it's 10%. Bam, there it goes. That's how much they made for that day,
Yep. No doubt, man. No doubt.
And they love it. I get it, but also like it gives them the incentive to not, to do better a job because then they don't want to go back to that job because they know they're not getting paid on it.
And going back to like hiring skilled guys, like you're probably not going to find them if you're not paying a
No,
percentage.
not
You're
at
not.
all.
It's someone who's been around and they've been doing it 5, 10 years and they're actually pretty skilled. The first thing they're going to be looking for is
Yep.
percentage pay, or it's like get lost. You know,
That's actually one reason why I got the two guys I got now, is because they were at a different company that didn't want to pay them percentage pay. They wanted to pay them
right.
by the hour.
Right. Yeah, because you're taking away their control. Like
Yeah.
if you have percentage pay, they now have control over their own life, how much work that they can accomplish, and they can make more money if they need to by working harder.
Yeah. 100
You know,
percent
it's just there's no incentive in not doing that. So I've always loved that about gutters. I don't think that I would have ever got into it if it wasn't that way. I've
Yeah.
always made money in this industry. I was at 19, 18, 19. I was making 1,800, 2 grand a week way back then,
Yep.
before all this inflation and stuff. So now it's because of percentage pay.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I wish I would have known it whenever I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'd have been like, "Oh crap! You tell me I can make $2,000 a week gross,
Yeah.
man? I'd have been all over it when I was 18, 19, 21.
I was able to talk myself out of being a personal trainer to fall into gutters, even though I didn't even care about gutters at the time. And like training was my whole world.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that, man, and I think I ended up liking all the challenges too. There's a lot of challenges in the gutter industry,
Yeah.
from installing, just the whole thing.
Yeah, man.
If you
I
grew up,
love it, dude. Like, I get out there with the guys now and mess around and try to do some metal work. Like we do like the down rakes and stuff, and trying to make them line up correctly. And like that's like once you get it like and you look back at it and it looks really good, it's like, oh man, that feels good, dude.
and business comes back down to like a reflection on ourselves. And so like, if you really want to grow personally, start a business. It's going to force you to level up. If not, you're just going to sink. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep. And then I also got a bunch of really good friends here locally that own businesses. They're really successful, and some of my best friends. And so it's always good. Like they're in an actually different industry, and one's a general contractor, one's a roofer, and so it's always like good to like bounce stuff off of them, because they got 6, 7, $8 million businesses, and so it's always really nice to kind of hear both sides of it.
It sounds like you've been pretty good at networking for a long time. So that's kind
Yeah,
of how you even got into buying businesses, is by being around the right people that kind of
yes,
influenced you to do that.
that's one thing my dad always taught into me. Like you are who you hang around, and so
Yep.
like I've always took that. I played baseball through high school, and like I had all my coaches, through that, and so it's like I've always wanted to find people that I would want to change lifestyles with. Like, oh man, like I really liked it. Like that guy, like he lives a good life. He has a nice family. Like I'd be okay. Well, maybe I should get to know him and see what he's about.
So that's why you see this. I don't know if you see it, but I got a little feather tattoo right here.
Yeah.
Um, but the meaning behind that is it's something my grandfather used to always tell me. But birds of a feather flock together, and
There you
like
go.
you're known by the company you keep. He would always say that. But it's so true, man. Because if you're wanting to succeed, get around the people that are succeeding, especially in the area that you're wanting to grow in. Get
Yeah.
around those people, and you're going to level up.
100%, dude. You got to, man. You can't. You ain't. If you start a business and you still hang around the same people and doing the same thing, smoking, drinking, whatever on the weekends, you're not going to level up, dude. You're not
Yep.
going to.
Yep. So
You got to change your mindset. That's the biggest thing.
it's pretty much 80% success, if not
Yeah.
99% of it, really, because it all starts in the mind. Like even
Yeah.
when I'm coaching someone, um, I'm talking to them and kind of figuring out what's going on with their business, and literally like it's just thought and different perspective, and then you give that person that thought and different perspective, and like it's all in the mind. Like that mindset shift is what starts changing things, and um,
100%.
so yeah, man, it's no doubt. I
And
appreciate you
it,
coming on here today, brother.
yeah, man, for sure, dude. It was a pleasure, dude. Anything for
Yeah,
you and Grant, man. Y'all, like I said, y'all have helped me tremendously. Just with transition in my business, and man, like y'all, I consider y'all all close friends. Like me and Grant, we go golfing together now, and
Yep.
so I just kind of started golfing this year, so it was all really cool that me and him both kind of started back at the same time. So
I've been a couple times, but I'm not going as quite as often as Grant is. But
yeah,
I'm
I know. Me, Johnny D, and John Majak were all talking about meeting up one day and us doing a big golf trip, like meeting in between.
yep, no doubt,
So
man. It's a lot of
that'll
fun
be
out there.
yeah.
I wish I could go more, but they live like an hour south of me, so they're able to just go more often. But
Okay, I
so
got
I
you.
think it's great for business. You get out there, and it don't even have to be about business. You're just
Yeah,
going out there having fun, and you know,
dude, just clear
growing
your mind, man.
relationships.
Yeah.
So you're
I
good,
do
brother.
a lot of hunting too, and so I go out there. I'll sit in a tree stand, and like that's a mind clearer for me.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I was just talking to Zach in our group. He shot a nice buck last night.
oh
Sent
heck
me a
yeah,
picture of it. So that's something
yeah.
else I want to get into here one day. I've never
Well,
done
dude,
any hunting yet.
you have to come up here, man. I got a hunting club just in South Georgia right here, and
Do you?
I'll come. I'll take you, man. It'd be cool.
Yeah, man, I love that.
This
So,
weekend is actually opening weekend of rifle season, but I'm actually going to miss it because my son's got a football game Saturday.
sounds more important.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I try to make sure I'm always there for my kids, man. That's the biggest thing.
Yep. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why we're building these businesses. We're doing it to
Yep.
provide for our families, and we need to make sure. And I was at fault at it earlier in my career, where it was just all business, and I didn't spend enough time on the family. But we're
Yeah.
doing it for the family. So if you could, spend time with the family and realize why we're growing our businesses, and
Yeah.
that's what matters at the end of the day. So
100%, man. 100%. All
so
right, well, Tim. Hey, dude.
I
I
appreciate you
appreciate you
coming
having
on
me
here.
on, man.
Sounds good, brother. I will talk to you here soon. I'll see you in the next meeting.
All right, man. Have a good one.
See ya.
All right. Peace.